as a mother with little kids, it's like, okay, there's not always much that you can control. So it's like, in that, what do I feel like I can control? I can reach for every single morning, getting up intentionally, getting up a little bit earlier than I was because I wasn't doing that, saying, okay, this is me time. I'm going to get up. I'm going to write 5 things that I'm grateful for, and I'm going to start my day that way. We are Shannon and Matthew Missimer. We're the co-founders of the Motion of Gratitude. And it's our business is to help people feel the impact of intentional gratitude and learn to be present in their lives. And quite frankly, it all started through personal experience, personal need 6 years ago. This was a journey that I went on that was I'd gotten to a point in my life where I was going through the motions. I was waking up, I was doing the same thing every day. And there wasn't the life behind it that I knew was there, that I knew I was capable of feeling every single day. So I knew that I had to make a choice to make a change. And that change started with getting intentional with gratitude and actually learning to be present in my life. And it's had such a massive impact on me, on my children, on our relationship. And we've just taken a life journey. We've gone, like you shared, we did some RVing during COVID and just spent the last 5 months in Costa Rica, and have just realized that there is more to life than going through the motions. And it's through this life journey that we have met people like you, Bob. We've met people all over the world, and it's just added fuel to this beautiful fire of life that we know we're meant to live. So we're really excited to be here and have more conversation there. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Love Bug.
Well, a little bit about me, Bob, and again, thanks for having us. So I was a financial guy for almost 20 years, and we really went through a process over the last 13 months that's really reinvented who I've become. And my book comes out in a couple of weeks, and just really excited. And Shannon is the original creative mindset of the Motion of Gratitude, and it's been beautiful to get on board with her over the last 13 months, and now doing it together hand in hand. We're having a ton of fun.
Yeah. So I know for me personally, I was really good at saying I was grateful. I was that person who I always said thank you. I was good at the thank you notes. That was ingrained in me early in life, right? I understood that part of it. I think what I didn't understand was there is an underlying feeling attached to the word of gratitude that we can intentionally tap into without waiting for somebody to create those moments for us. So what had happened for me is I was knee deep in motherhood. We had a 2-year-old and an 8-month-old, and I think many parents can relate that phase in life. It can be intense, and our firstborn, we called her a trick baby because she made me feel like I could parent anything. I was like, I got this. And then our second daughter came along, and she just went through life differently, and we had a different way of relating and connecting. And it was hard. It was intense for me, She had acid reflux and just really wouldn't let anybody else comfort her, so it's a lot of, you're 24 hours a day, you're on as a mother, and it takes a toll on your mental health. It takes a toll on how you see the world. And, Matt would come home from work, and, he was working so hard to provide for us as a family, and he'd come home and he'd be like, how was your day? And I'd be like, I'd share everything that was going wrong. I was like, this happened and this happened and this happened.
Wrong question.
Yeah. And, one day he came home, and I dumped it all on him pretty good. And he just turns and looks at me. He's like, you could see he's like trying to brace for his words to come out in a nice way. But he's like, you got to be more grateful. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, what?
Duck.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I am so grateful. Like, what are you talking about? And that stuck with me, it was one of those things. I got through the anger of like, who is he to tell me I need to be more grateful, right? But that word kept sticking with me. It's like, why is that the word that he chose? And 2, why am I sticking to this thought? And, after sitting with it for a little bit, it was like, he's right. Even in this chaos, even in this intense phase of life, there's still so many good things that are happening that I'm missing. We're in this house that we dreamed of. I have 2 healthy children, we have community. There were so many things that were going right that I had lost sight of. So I realized I didn't want to change my external environment. I wanted to be home. I wanted to raise my kids. So I knew that that couldn't shift. So it basically got to a point where it's like, I have to make a choice to do something differently. And gratitude felt like something that I could reach for in that moment. As a mother with little kids, it's like, okay, there's not always much that you can control. So it's like, in that, what do I feel like I can control? I can reach for every single morning, getting up intentionally, getting up a little bit earlier than I was because I wasn't doing that, saying, okay, this is me time. I'm going to get up. I'm going to write 5 things that I'm grateful for. And I'm going to start my day that way. And I think initially it was so hard. Like day one, I'm like, I got nothing. You're like, nope, nothing's coming. We're done here. But it's like, no, you promise this is what you're going to do. So you're going to stick with it. And every day it just got a little bit easier. And then, a week or two into it, I was like, oh my, like I was joyful. I was laughing at things that were making me cry 2 weeks before. It was literally shifting my perspective of how I was viewing things.
Ours, yeah. So, for me, what happened, I'd say COVID sped it up. Like I really had a different life prior to COVID. I would get in my car every morning. I would go to the gym. I would work out with my team. Then I would go to the office, and then I would go see people where they would come see me. And I loved it. Part of the joy of being a financial planner for me was being in people's homes or visiting them at their businesses. And when that got taken away, and then I just spent my whole day on computer screens, it rocked me. It wasn't healthy for me, and I had really lost the drive to keep doing it on a day-to-day basis. Now, we were fortunate, we got in the RV during COVID, and, my feeling was if I'm going to be in a computer all day long, I might as well change my external environment each day so that I maintain a level of sanity instead of waking up and working in my bedroom. And, that just didn't work. So, we bought the first RV in July of 2020, and we left. We left the East Coast at the time. We were living outside Philadelphia, and we just went on a journey, and we really got to see the country firsthand for what was going on. And that really opened up Pandora's box. So then I kept trying to merge back in to be that traditional financial planner. I hadn't worn a suit in years, nor did I have any desire to. It was almost like a version of myself was just left behind. And there was so many things that we were doing as a family by going through the motion of gratitude on a daily basis that I just couldn't put that back in a box. I found myself unplugging from my passion-driven desires to plug into the financial planning world, which was no longer, it wasn't good for me, and I knew it wasn't going to be good for clients long term, because if I wasn't passionate, they weren't going to receive the passion, and therefore they weren't going to get the absolute best service that they deserve. So it's been a process. It's taken 13 months, and I'm still connected to my clients. I still love talking to them. You can't put 18 years of relationships in a box. So I love still being the relationship guy, but I just don't look at the screens anymore. I don't look at asset allocations. And my passion now is to help people to feel the impact of having intentional gratitude practice. And for me, I've been blessed I worked at a big company, and, they would pour resources into us. So when Shannon was going through this motherhood journey, pretty much in isolation, because I would work 12 hours a day, I had people pouring into me all day long and supporting me and encouraging me to keep going. And then I would come home and my tank was empty. That's not cool. So as we went through COVID, it was just, I really wanted to live, love, and parent consciously and do it together versus this divide and conquer mentality. And the only way I saw a way to do that and to live a happy life was to engage fully into the motion of gratitude and not divide and conquer as a family while I do it.
It was a freedom that I hadn't experienced, like that. It was the first time that we did not have to be in a physical location. like ever in our entire life. Like if you think about from grade school to high school to college to work, it was literally the first time where it's like you can be anywhere. So there was this freedom in it, and seeing, for us, experiencing different parts of the country during that time was just so interesting too. You got to see how people were living in all different ways, and yeah, it was just an opportunity to step into a chapter that felt like there was so much uncertainty, and just be a family and be in our own bubble. We just brought our house with us where we were going, so it was really nice. Yeah, Bob, it's been so eye-opening. So for me, I was of the belief that I knew exactly what school was going to look like for my kids. Like I grew up, I went to Catholic school, went to Catholic high school, went to college, and there was such this, like, that's how we're going to do things, that's the path. And, through the last couple years, I've witnessed my children learn through hands-on experience that was so eye-opening that became very difficult to shift back to that very traditional style of education. So for us, we're taking more of a world schooling approach to school. Our oldest is 8, so it was kind of the same belief. It's like, there's a feeling that we need to explore this, and if we don't do it now, when would we do it? So we've had the opportunity to world school and homeschool, and kind of allow our kids to experience different cultures. Being down in Costa Rica, they went to a school where 2 of their teachers only spoke Spanish. So the way that they were able to learn Spanish is something that, I never learned in a book from the 14 years that I was taught Spanish. So I think it's our children are growing up in such a different world, so to kind of allow that to unfold has been challenging and exciting all in all. So I'd say that they're finding their way, and they're finding who they are in the process, which I think is my hope for them. You want to take that one? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that one. So Costa Rica, that journey started, and this whole journey is actually in the book that's coming out on April 27th. But I had gone on a retreat in February last year, and it just changed the entire trajectory of my life. So, and that happened to be in Costa Rica. So we came back to the U.S., or I came back to the U.S. We were actually wintering in Florida in the RV, and we came back here to Utah, and I needed to get away, and we went to Costa Rica for the month of November April. So this time last year we were in Costa Rica for April. So, and it was the first time I had gone away and really focused on being a dad and a husband. And actually the week before we left, I wasn't allowed to bring my laptop. So I wasn't allowed to work, which was a beautiful thing. So Costa Rica was a place that just became a place of beauty, safety, reinvention of self for me. And then I pulled Shannon into that one. So, and then instead of getting back in the RV to go, because we live in Utah, but I don't like winter. And
you're getting hit with it up there.
Yeah, Vermain. And it's really challenging for me to homeschool the kids in the winter. So I just feel like we get trapped into our home, and there's just not enough to do. And so that's where the RV was beautiful, to go to Florida. And then this year we decided, maybe we need a break from the RV. So we decided to go to this town in Costa Rica that we just had fallen in love with. And we did 5 months. I can't believe it. And we've only been back a week today, and it feels like a dream. Like it's, but yeah, we set out. I mean, I was a financial planner day to day, so you can imagine I'm a planner. So I knew the weather patterns and things like that. So I thought 5 months would be good. And honestly, it was a long time. It was a long time to be away. We learned a lot in the process. I don't think we'll do it just like that again.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful opportunity for Shannon and I to really double down on our practices of getting to know each other, parenting the children, operating in such a different environment, a very intense environment. So we learned a lot there. And then that's where I wrote my book, and that's where we really, as a couple, dove into how are we going to bring the motion of gratitude to life. So it became this 5-month cocooning process, which was amazing. Oh, thank you. So the book's called The Paradox of Having Your Shit Together. It comes out. The goal is to make people smile. It comes out on April 27th, and it's a 3-part story of the beginning of the book's all the paradoxes I chased. I grew up in a family without a lot of money. My parents got divorced when I was 7. So it set into motion a lot of behaviors to become successful. So the first part is everything I did to be successful, and then everything that I learned along the way. And it almost felt like I walked into a booby trap. So I chased that unicorn up a mountain called money. I got to the top of that mountain. There was no unicorn, and there was a much bigger mountain on the other side, which for me is fatherhood. The middle of that book is my retreat in Costa Rica and just kind of my crumbling, the plant medicine journey, very vulnerable to teach people about that. Also, it's a cautionary tale. And then the third part of the book is how we put our life back together and how we went through that reinvention process together. And it's very, very transparent.
Yeah, we definitely got pushback. And I think so. Bob, a little bit about me. I've always been a rule follower my whole life. So this is a new thing for me of charting my own path.
Me too.
So that was hard. There's a lot of opinions and perspectives on it. And I think the thing that we've always shared is like, we brought our house with us. So we were social distancing wherever we are, which was kind of a beautiful thing. And quite frankly, we were spending our time out in nature. And what was incredible is we were at the national parks and nobody was there. Like we were at Mount Rushmore with 4 other people, so it's like, it was actually this incredible time to see places like this, the safety of nature, we all know the power of it, especially when it comes to our immune systems and all of it. So it was almost a little bit confusing when you'd get the pushback from people when you're like, yeah, I spent the day out in nature, by ourselves in the woods. It was incredible, that side of it. And I think what was also interesting too, again, not to get into any political thought process, but depending on where you were in the country, there was a very different handling of everything. And that was very eye-opening. You'd go from one state, you'd cross the border to the next, and it was like, you're like, what, where are we? What's the rule here? You'd have to kind of ask like, okay, what are your rules here? Cause it was actually eye-opening. It was very different depending on where you were. Yes. Yes.
And that's where, like, for me, perspective in motion is, there's the motion of gratitude. That's the company. But one of my philosophies has always been perspective in motion. It's also easier to parent in motion. So for me, just that ability to untether and be out into the world. And we did get a lot of pushback. I got pushback from clients. I got pushback from company. I got pushback from friends. And it was really neat to be in this big RV, right? We had tons of food. We had everything we needed. And it was like we got to be a part of a social experiment in an interesting way. And people would watch the news and say one thing, but it's like, oh, well, we were actually there, and it's the other thing. And it was just amazing to see that contrast. So, but yeah, COVID changed everything for all of us, for sure.
Yeah, it's just, that's just been something that stuck with me, because that's how I felt. It was like, I am literally, there's nothing behind that motion, and I think, yeah, it's funny how it started just this like internal feeling, and then it converted into this motion of living and experiencing life in a different way. And to what you were saying earlier, Bob, I think that with COVID, I think this is the first time in history that we have this ability that to, like you said, take these computers and go and experience life. And, one of the biggest takeaways that I've had that I think has changed me more than anything is the connections that we've made with people through travel. The connection to humans from all over the world, all different parts of the country. Especially if you find yourself thinking one way and not necessarily finding those people where you are, the people that we found from all over the place, but we would end up in the same spots. It's like, how did we all end up here? It was kind of beautiful to really just trust that little nudge to say, yeah, let's go, let's explore, let's do this. And the people we've met along the way have just, it's made the story what it is. It's really made the connections, and that's what's added some just value to my life, is finding that community. Our kids have friends all over the world at this point, and we do too, which I think is what life has become, about creating that community and those connections.
Oh, I'll do this one. So this is kind of funny, Bob. So I my first idea was I bought this boat, right? And it could sleep 5 people. So my idea was the boat. That lasted like 10 minutes. Now I got the boat, but every time Shannon was on the boat, she was
we had like an 18-month-old. I was like, this thing's not safe. Where are we going in this thing? We got 3 little kids.
So I think that it was a strategic pivot that Shannon's like, oh, we should get an RV because it's like the boat, but it's on wheels.
I called it a land yacht. That's what I called it.
So the original idea was Shannon's, and I tell people that all the time. They're like, no way.
Yeah, no one believes it.
No one believes it. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this was all her idea. But I am such a seeker. So the second it was on my, it was actually my birthday. Mm-hmm. Was I 33? My 33rd birthday. Whatever. Yeah, I think my 33rd birthday. But we had bought it on my birthday, and I was like, I can't believe we're doing this. And they were like, do you know how to drive this thing? It was 38 feet. It had air brakes. It's, a diesel pusher. I was like, well, I have a 40-foot boat, and it doesn't have brakes. So how hard could this be, right? And that was it. Like,
just send you on your way with a bus.
Send you on your way with a bus. Like, I can't believe this. But I would say the conversations, and then you can go, Shan, but it took 13 months. I mean, to get where we are right now, even though the journey of working together like this hand in hand started 4 years ago, in the beginning, it was like a phase. Yeah. It was like, okay, this is a COVID thing. This is temporary. We're going to explore. We even sold that RV. We fixed up our house. We put our kids in traditional schools. That lasted 4 months, and then we bought a second RV. So it's been a journey of 4 years to get here. And then the last 13 months, particularly the last 5, we've had the most intense, real, both conflict and alignment ever in our marriage. Because to choose to do this together is not always an easy choice.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now we've created a combined physical product and digital experience for people to give them that starting point. So for 6 years ago when I got started, there was nothing that I could walk through to really get to this point, to get intentional with those practices. So we built out an app where we house a 28-day gratitude initiative to really help somebody if they're like, okay, I know that this is important to me, but I don't know where to start. So through those 28 days, we help guide them to get intentional with gratitude and to actually learn to be present in their life, because the grateful moments happen in the present. So if we can't really get present in those moments, it's very difficult to find things to be grateful for. So throughout those 28 days, it's really building those intentional practices and supporting people on that more of a personal journey. So that's really where it started. Me personally, obviously I have a heart and a soft spot for the caregivers in the world, because that's where I was at that point. So that's a lot of where my direction and my focus is. And I think the beauty of where we've been expanding now, and where Matt has really taken over in his role in the business, is bringing this into more school settings and corporate settings. So my direction again was more individual, more supporting the caregivers, and then Matt in the last couple months has really started to bring that into, like, now you have all these businesses that have they're really focused on well-being. Physical well-being has been important in corporations for a long time, but the mental well-being of corporate world is a little bit off kilter at the moment. Burnout is the highest it's ever been, and quite frankly in the school setting too, teachers are actually the most burnout profession in the US right now, which is crazy. So we're really working to support and work in those organizations to say, okay, how can we help bring these practices to, in the school setting, it's the teachers, because if the teachers can feel supported, then they can support their students. And then in the corporate setting, you can talk more about that if you'd like to do that. But yeah, really diving into those areas as well.
Yeah, where I'm excited is in the corporate environment. So to have the first corporate gratitude initiative. And right now, diversity and inclusion initiatives are a very big part of the corporate makeup. This is required. And we need to really evolve in this space. But a lot of these companies are just creating trigger moments for all their employees. And there's more conversations around what we don't agree on than what we agree on. And that's really distracting from the corporate mission. So if we could all implement a daily gratitude practice that is intentional, then we will be more grateful for our colleagues. We will be more grateful for the executive team, and we will be more grateful for the customers. So just helping people to rewire and go back to a much simpler way of viewing the other humans around them. And we need each other, and we need to work together. And if we work for a company, that company has a mission, and we chose to work for that company for a reason. So let's maintain our mission, and let's work together, and let's have more gratitude for one another in the process. You're going to do today or in general?
Yeah, I think what's coming up for me is, I think a lot of what I'm grateful for in this moment, in sitting and having this conversation, is the ability to connect and have real conversations like this. Like, I think we live in a time where we have the ability to find people like you who have a similar mission, who are out there saying, like, there is good in the world, and we just need to continue to bring it to the surface. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. That's what I'm most grateful for, because this was a very solo journey for me for a long time. So to be at a place where I'm connecting with other humans who are feeling the same pull, to step into these roles and these purpose-driven missions, it lights me up, and it kind of keeps that fire going when you have those days where you're like, what am I doing? So yes, exactly. Am I just talking to the screen, or is somebody on the other side? So yes. Yes, so our website is themotionofgratitude.com, or you can find us, our Instagram or is at the Motion of Gratitude. We also have the Motion of Gratitude podcast, which you can find on YouTube or any of the Spotify, Apple Music, all those things. So you can find us all there. It's on the website. Yeah, checking all the boxes. I know you get it, Bob.
Yeah, and we're
yes.
Yeah, and it's been fun because, although we've been doing this together for 6 years, the startup phase of the company has really been the last 13 months, where we are just bringing it to life. So we've got a big kickoff event in New York at the end of the month, and I just think we're there. We finally are about to see the fruits of the labor, and I'm about to get back in the RV to bring it back to the East Coast. Shannon and the girls are flying. We're doing a boys trip, Grayson and I and the dog, Dublin. So we'll be back on the East Coast and just being a lot more present, and we're excited for the whole process.
Exactly. How'd you get this instant success, Bob?
If not successful, they're definitely adrenaline junkies at this point.
We'll be adventuring wherever they are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll have to find them wherever they are in the world when they get older. I love this question. And I think what comes up for me is, 6 years ago, or before 6 years ago, I was just doing what everybody told me to do and just grinding, right? And I think my edge that has really taken me to this point in my life has been intentional focus instead of just waking up and doing what everybody says I'm going to do. Everything I do now, I do it with intention. And the choices that I make are intentional. And I think that edge people can't take that away from you. And then when you make the choices that you make and you know that they're made with intention and it's a conscious choice, there's so much more power behind that choice and conviction in the process and the direction that you're going. And I think that's been the edge for me that has just shifted the trajectory of the direction that I feel like I've gone in the last 6 years. Yeah, what you got?
Thank you. So what comes up for me with my edge is sovereignty. For 18 years of my life, I did a lot of things for other people. And I would ignore the most important thing, which was what was underneath my own roof in my home. So now, as I move forward in this chapter of my life, nothing gets in the way of that sovereignty. And knowing that Shannon comes first, my kids come second, like a close second, but they do come second. And the choices that I make moving forward as we build this company is that will stay in check. And that wasn't always my truth. So I really like that I went through a journey to get to that awareness and the confidence and conviction to maintain it. And then as I like coaching people as well and sharing the vulnerable side of my book is the goal of going through the journey is to have abundance and have beautiful relationships. So if we can't figure that out and we just make a lot of money or sacrifice our souls to do certain things, then it wasn't worth it. So
I think as somebody who felt like there was only one way to live life for so long, I think I want people to know that there is more than one way to live. And if you do get intentional and if you listen more to your intuition and you focus more on what you want in your life and get intentional with it, there's so much beauty in life. And there's just so much more there that you can tap into. So if somebody's listening and feels like they're going through the motions in their life, get intentional, get quiet, listen to your own voice and say, what do I want? What do I want with this life? And I think that's really what I hope is that people start to trust their own voice, start to trust that guidance inside of themselves and to take risks and go for it. Like that's what this life is here for. Take the risk, make it happen, do it for you. Yes.
And I would want people to, as I think about that question, people want to have the real conversation right now. Vulnerability is a really cool currency right now that should be embraced. So if you're going through something and you feel like you're going at it alone, you're not. There's someone else out there that's just in this trench with you, and you're just one phone call away, one relationship away of walking out of that trench together. So don't do this in isolation.